and now you're retired. That's the look you give off. Now you should be doing, like Brawny and the LL Bean commercials with your body.
I started recording, man. I wanted to get you in all your fixing your hair glory right here. I think this is fantastic.
I have no problem with that
Hey,
at
let
all.
me ask you a question. You got to have a green screen to put that behind you, right?
No, you don't. Go to your settings on the upper right,
Uh-huh.
and it'll say virtual background,
Uh-huh.
and then you click onto that, and you'll have like two that are preloaded, but you can just plus and add a photo, and then put whatever photo you want up there.
I tried doing that and I was looking at the screen and it kind of looked really weird, like I couldn't see myself. So I was like, this is not working. Is that the way it looks on yours?
Let me look. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of this. No, see, like I look perfect. So let me just make sure I didn't press
No,
that.
but you're looking at yourself right now. When you look at it on the screen, on the Zoom screen, I'm talking about.
Yeah, like
It looked
uh,
weird.
watch. I'll show you how it's gonna work. This is so crazy. It'll work perfectly. Watch. See?
Yeah, I can't see that. I can't see that at all.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I can see myself against the thing. So let me just check real quick. Where's the settings? How do you do settings on this? Speaker view. I'm in the, so where's oh, here it is. So I go to my thing. I go to settings. I go to virtual background.
Uh-huh.
I go, now look at the screen now. What do you see?
You're all black. You look like
It's
like a
cool,
ghost, like a ghost wearing like the Invisible Man.
I will fucking kill you, Mark Damiro.
like that. So why isn't it working on yours? Try it again. Like
I'm not gonna try it now. We already started recording. I'll try it again later. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. This is Police Off the Cuff, one-on-one with Mark DeMeo. I have a special guest here with me today. He's a longtime friend. He's a comedy club owner, or was in New York City, an actor, a writer, a comedian. He's got a film right now that's going to be in the BFC Short Film Festival 2021. He directed it, he wrote it, and it's called Rockaway Sunset. And what else? Oh, he's also a stringer. If you don't know what that is, folks, you're going to find out. It's really, really interesting. It's a unique thing, and it really makes him what he is. On top of all the things I mentioned, a complete nut job. My friend PJ Landers. What's up, buddy?
Mark, thank you for having me. Hello to all your people out there, Patreon people and YouTube people.
You're rocking back and forth like you're in a ride or something. What are you doing?
Fix it in 1 second. I'm just trying to make myself look less horrible than I do at this age. Yeah, I'm going to keep that for a little.
Fine. You look fine. You're a handsome guy.
For our age, we look great. I honestly, I don't want to be like, when you saw guys in there when they just turned 50 back in the day, they were old and decrepit, like Humphrey Bogart, all those movies. Is what?
Look at this movie. It's called The Governor. It's on. Have you seen it?
No.
It's about Lenny McLean. He was a bare knuckle boxer in Britain, and he won the title, what's called The Governor. And they made a documentary out of him. His son did, and it's on Netflix right now. It's amazing. But the most amazing thing about it, because the guy not only started off as just a ruffian in beating up everybody in the neighborhood, then he went on to become a bouncer. And from a bouncer, he went into these bare knuckle fights. And from the bare knuckle fights, he wound up becoming champion. And from champion, he got into the movies because that guy, Guy Ritchie is a huge, huge bare knuckle. If you notice, Guy Ritchie has bare knuckle boxing in all of his movies. And he was a huge fan of this guy, Lenny McLean. So then he started putting Lenny in his movies. You might recall Lenny always played the really gangster looking guy with the nose like this, an older guy. Well, Lenny McLean died at 49 years old. I thought the guy was, when I'm looking at it, I thought the guy was 65 years old.
Was it the guy with the square glasses?
Yeah, yeah. You could,
The boss? Was it the boss always?
yeah,
Like,
always a boss.
was he the guy who fed the black guys to the pigs?
Yeah. No, 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 not that guy. Nah, this guy's much, much bigger.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, right, right. That
He was in Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels. Two
Right.
Smoking Barrels. Anyway, but that guy, the people just look old back then. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. You know, I
they
think
were being fed a lot of feminine hormones. That's what it is. Raw food. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got bitch tits and a bowl shrivel up.
I only have one of those. And what I mean by one of those is one ball.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You donated the other one to science?
Yeah, it's the weird science.
And they gave it back. They said, thanks, we don't need it.
They said this looks worse than the guy on the bicycle.
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
So we known each other now. I'd say we always go through this, but it's probably 20 years. It's an amazing thing. Like I don't really recall the first time I met you, but I remember that you were very friendly, and I had heard a story about you fighting somebody, another comedian. And I said, "Oh, this guy's a force to be reckoned with." And you're like the same height as me. You know what I'm saying? We probably weigh the same. And it's not when you get into when you're this big, like we are, winning and losing a fight, it doesn't really matter. You're still gonna get hit. If the guy knows anything, it's gonna hurt. You could be all the winner you want. You're gonna go home all if the guy can fight as good as you are, you're gonna go home lumped up. So it's not even worth it.
There's many a times I've had a fight with a guy my size. I tell him, well, how far are we going to take this?
Oh, that's good to know.
Let's make an agreement right now, like 5 minutes, 7 minutes,
Yeah, I would love to know that. You should. We're going to go rounds. Like, wait a minute. Do you know UFC? Because then otherwise there's a whole bunch of like this. The fights, back then when I was growing up, they were literally like 3 punches. Whoever got off the 3 punches first.
That's it.
And that was it. And I think that's an ideal street fight, tactic. You should be able to call anybody out, 3 punches on the ready, go. And everybody gets 3. You could take yours one at a time, or you swing them really quick, all of them, but everybody gets 3 punches. What do you think of that?
I like that. I used to be like, I would get bored because like I couldn't, unless I was really drinking and in a bad mood, but I wasn't really in a bad mood. I didn't have that killer instinct. I had rage, but it had to be there. And then sometimes I'd be beating a guy and nothing's happening. I like, all right, I quit. And then everybody like, what do you mean you quit? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to fight no more. And my friends are like, you got to fight. I'm like, no, I'm not fighting. And if anybody wants to fight me, I don't want to fight.
What are you going to do about it? I don't want to fight anymore. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
I mean, it's so hard, Mark. Like now at this point, a little older, we're taller and stuff. But growing up, I was just like, this. I'll tell you, fans. I was a skinny, 50-pound, redheaded kid, growing up Sunnyside, Woodside, just like Astoria. No brothers and sisters, people beating the hell out of me. I didn't like fighting. When I started to get older and bigger and stronger, there was something about me a little, when I realized people weren't able to bully me anymore, I did find the thrill in it. I felt a thrill in the pain when they would hit me and a thrill in the satisfaction of like saying to somebody, no, fuck you. You can't bully me.
Uh-huh. Are you a southpaw? You're a lefty? Oh, you're a righty.
I'm right. I'm a righty, but I have a great, because what I always learned, I started boxing when I was 12 or 13. Guy down the neighborhood, Vietnam veteran, taught me how to do it. Basics. I didn't. And then when I went to a dojo, I started doing a little boxing in the ring. But
what did you have to do for him for the lessons?
Just a little like that.
You just had to touch it with your tongue a little bit.
just the taste. He said, just it's like, all right, this is easy for boxing lessons.
After one of your sweaty boxing workouts and sparring, did he teach you Roman Greco wrestling too?
Of course, on the roof of in Sunnyside, when it was the diapers and the whole thing. I'm not embarrassed. I learned how to box. The guy saved my life, basically. Make fun of the guy, man.
You know what? He looked out for you. The lesson, it was worth it. It was actually worth it. Do you know how much karate lessons were back then?
I was a single. My mother had no money for that. You think my father was around to put his?
I was getting free boxing lessons. Damn it!
You think my father was around putting his dick in my mouth? No, I had to go out and get somebody dedicated to teach me.
You know how many kids wanted to get these boxing lessons?
Everybody was going to the priest. They don't know shit. I went to this guy because he was an animal.
They had to do confessions. I was getting boxing lessons.
God bless all the Vietnam veterans out there. We love you.
Yes. So, yeah, you know what the funny thing is like, you wound up owning the comedy club down in the village it was called the Comedy Village. It was the old Boston Comedy Club.
You could see it.
You definitely ran it. I just remember seeing the faces of the people that worked for you. And the people that worked for you were usually comedians. They're waiting to get up on stage as well. And they're kind of sort of bartering their time, and they're working for you for this stage time. And man, when they see a car coming down the block, they get nervous. They're like, oh shit, is everything okay? PJ's coming. Because they'll be hanging out talking and you expected them to be working. Why is this here? Why is that there? What are you doing over here? Aren't you supposed to be selling tickets 2 blocks away? And you ran a tight ship, man. And I was always thankful that I at least I wasn't on that level anymore where I'd have to work for the club. By that time I was, a performer, not, one of the best by any stretch of the imagination, but at least I was able to get book spots. And
I mean, some of those times, we had a combination of when we first started, I had a bunch of comics, and then I had some people in higher level things like Leah and Rodney and these guys. They were like kind of watching the place when I wasn't around. But comics in general, they're I don't want to say they're fuck ups or lazy or anything, but they have their own motivations, obviously, like we all do in life. And I've run businesses in many different aspects, and this was no different to me. I ran it like a tight ship. Guys were like, oh, why is he such an asshole? Well, we had 100 people on a Friday night, and Dave Chappelle came by, so that's why I'm an asshole. We're getting to perform. I lost a bunch of friends that way because I did go from being the PJ, hey, hang out and let's have a few drinks, to a guy that was booking 7 nights a week and had an incredible pressure on him to produce and make these shows actually happen.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy way to do it. Nobody's ever going to be happy with whoever's in charge. That's it's true. I mean, you could be the nicest guy in the world. Somebody's going to be motherfucking you because they didn't get a spot. But I also noticed too that there was, you knew when not to go around PJ. And if you didn't, if you were one of these dopes that can't read energy, there was moments there where you would get there, whatever, you're going through, I could just see you in my mind going through some box that you had over there and counting money and looking around. And like, you'd have me there, but I knew that it wasn't, just chill out. And when he's ready, he'll talk to you, But some people don't get it. They come over, they're like, he's talking shit. And you're like, dude, can't you see I'm in the fuck? Get out of here. Get away from me.
That's what you have to put limitations on people in general, because my mother would do that to me, right? I'd go up and talk to her. We were the only 2 in the house. She'd be on the phone. I'd go up and she'd turn around and say, shut the fuck up. and you look back at it and you think, wow, they really do teach you. The right parents do teach you how to live in life. All these comics would come up to you and try to get time, and a guy would come up to me, I had a girl come up to me and try to offer me sex. And I stopped and I said, why would you do that? Oh, I heard you did it. I said, that's bullshit. I said, that no one ever told.
It only happened once. Okay, maybe 8 times. That's it. It only happened 8 times this week, but I never more than that.
I got in more trouble with her because I said, don't ever do that. Don't put yourself in that situation. Nobody here is going to ask you to do that. If you're funny, we're going to try to help you. If you're not funny, go down the block and get a little funnier. I'm not the best comedy club in the country. I realize that. I went from the Boston Comedy Club. You got to understand, man, this is the place that I got on stage for the second time in my life. The second time I performed, Dave Chappelle, Dave Attell, and Louis C.K. were on the same show.
Uh-huh.
And I was blown away, man. I started working the door like that night. I actually got a job at the Boston Comedy Club the very first night I performed. I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Mhm.
So I go there. It's an early show, what they call a bringer show, right? You bring 3 of your friends, they come and see you. I do the show, have a great set, only my second time on. When I say great, meaning 3 people laughed, I was happy. These guys come in, Chappelle, Attell, Louis C.K., they do their thing. They're not who they are, the way they are now, but they were still known. We're talking about 94. I guess it's 94 almost, 93 maybe, late 93. So these guys come in. So I'm at the door, and the guy at the door turns out to be Jason Steinberg, is looking all nervous. I go, what's the matter, man? He goes, hey, my door guy is not here. I go, I can help you out. He goes, I thought you were a comic. I go, I am. I'm a bouncer too. I can help you. So he goes, great. Charge everybody $5. So I'm standing there collecting. This black dude comes up to the door. He goes, hey, man, who are you? I go, oh, I'm the new door guy. He goes, what? I'm the door guy. I go, nah, man, he fired you because you were late. And the guy turns completely white. I give him a shot on the arm. I go, nah, man, I'm just fucking with you. Come on, take over. And that guy, Masavi Agria, my buddy, he's been my friend since that day, die hard friends. And that place was special to me because Barry Katz ran it. The people that go in and out of there, think of all the famous people right now who are hot. Name anybody: Colin, Jim Norton, Voss, even Jim Brewer, all these huge guys, whoever we think is huge in our, Chappelle made a home of that place. And then when I took over, I tried to do something different. I got all the guys who wanted to come down, all the big guys who wanted to come and work out. But I made a real decision to put on guys that were very talented, needed a little extra push and some work, and more importantly, some help. And I found guys like you, DeMeo, really funny guy. We became friends. Astoria, a cop. I know this guy. I'm not a cop, but I know cops. They're my friends. People like Dante, Joey Gay. I meet these people, and even though I knew these guys before, I bonded with them, and I say, you know what? These are the guys I want to push to do a great comedy club. I want a combination of both. I want DeMeo to go on, I want me to go on, and I want Chappelle to close. And just miraculously, how many times did that happen to us?
I want to tell you a story about that.
Cut me off anytime, too.
What?
I said, cut me off anytime. You rude bitch.
Listen, I gave you the light 5 minutes ago. You went 10 minutes over. I didn't want to say anything.
Is that what that was? I kept looking that way.
Here's a good story because you got the picture. Like, just so our audience know, that is the stage at the Comedy Village, which was the Boston Comedy Club. And that's Dave sitting on there. He used to come through the club quite often. But it all started when right after his show got canceled. I remember, you can come back now. I remember he did whatever he did. He went to Africa, whatever. And at this point right now, you're running the club. And, I'm one of your regular comedians, which meant like on a Friday, Saturday, sometimes even Thursday and Sunday, especially Friday and Saturday, we were doing 3 shows and I was getting up 3 times. And then at some point you even had the Comedy Corner, which was 2 blocks away. So we used to be doing this spot here and then run around the corner to do the Comedy Corner and then come back and literally like you were like a ping pong ball, boom, boom, boom. And you can squeeze in 5, 6 spots a night just being down there in the West Village. It was a magical time. But on
getting paid.
Yeah, and getting paid. On this particular night, like I said, the Chappelle show, he walked off of it. The rumor had it that he went to Africa. Nobody knew nothing. But I remember one night being in front of the comedy club, and I'm with a couple of other comics, and we're like, "Oh shit! Look, that's what are you doing?"
Oh, go ahead. Keep talking.
I'm looking at. We're looking down the block. And said, "Oh shit! That's Dave Chappelle. Look, he's coming over here." And sure enough, it was Dave Chappelle walking by himself, smoking, and heading to the club. So he stops. He goes, "Hey, who's running this joint? Is it still PJ?" And we're like, "Yeah." So we, like kids, we run and say, "Hey PJ, Dave Chappelle is outside." So you come out, you guys give each other a pound. You ask him if he wants to get up, and it might have been like I'd say 9:45, 10 o'clock at night, and the second show is just starting out, and Dave goes up, and it's just it's an amazing feeling. You're outside right now, and you're running around telling people. And you got your crew there. Hey, if you want, we got tickets, we got seats left. Dave Chappelle's on stage right now. Dave Chappelle went on probably like 9:45, 10 p.m. It was I left the club at I think 2:30 in the morning. He was still on stage, and somebody that I know told me that he was still on stage at 4 o'clock. So that means he was on that stage for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
It was just and I remember staying till 2:30, you know what I'm saying? And I just being in complete awe. And then I'd say 2 weeks went past, and me and probably some of the same comics were standing in front of the club again. And we looked down the block and we're like, "Oh shit, there goes Dave Chappelle." And sure enough, Dave Chappelle came back, and sure enough, he went on stage, and he closed out that show. And then he stood on stage to do another show. And then we didn't get up that night. We didn't get up on stage to tell our jokes. And then like about a week, 10 days later, we're hanging out in front of the club. And who do we see coming down the block? Hey, it's Dave Chappelle. This motherfucker. Every fucking week this guy's fucking coming here. We just fucking split, all of us. What am I gonna do now? I gotta get other spots. We didn't even say hi to him. We're just complaining. We just fucking left, all of us, three of us. This was like your second comic, your third comic, and your fourth comic for the night on the next two shows. We just left. We didn't even come back. This motherfucker every week. Don't you have another place you can go to? Fucking asshole. What?
What happened to Africa? Go back to Africa. Chappelle, you telling Chappelle to go back to Africa.
Yeah, I know. It was just so fucking, it's just a difference, like how excited you get to see somebody once, and then, when you're losing out on your stage time and the money, and it becomes personal. No offense, Dave.
I actually, there's a couple of things, right? So there was one show he comes to, the early show. He gets there, we did it to 8:30, 10:30, 12:30. He gets there 10-ish. And I say to him, "Listen, man, we're sold out for the next show. I need you to do like 7 minutes."
Uh-huh.
And he did 7 minutes. And he goes, "Yeah, just give me the light, Red."
Uh-huh.
And I gave him the light. He got off a minute later to the thing. And people are like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, maybe you stay for the next show." And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Oh, no, you can't come. Get out."
I remember one night he hosted, and if you like, there was sometimes it was 2 hours in between the acts, but he got you up though.
Yeah.
He got you up. That was a long ass show.
Were you there when Chevy Chase came by?
No, I don't recall. Maybe I forget. Did he go on stage?
Yeah, I'm almost positive you were there. So I'm out front doing our thing, and Chevy Chase comes by, and I go, "Hey, you're Chevy Chase." He goes, "Hey, you're you." Already funny. I go, "Hey, man, would you like to come into the club?" He goes, "No." I go, "Dave Chappelle is on," and Chevy was with his daughter and his wife, and his wife goes, "Oh yeah, I'd really like to see him." So I bring him up that little staircase that we have and open the door, and they're standing right right there at the where you could stand like 10 feet away from the stage. Remember that great?
Yeah.
Let me just do this again. If you see this view that you see here is from what I'm talking about. It's from behind this little podium area, and uh, Chevy goes walking in, and Chappelle says something about herpes, and Chevy Chase yells out, "Oh, I have herpes," and Chappelle goes like, "Well, that's the weirdest shit I ever heard," you know. And I go up to right the balcony, which is 5 feet away, and I look at him, and he's looking at me, and I go, "It's Chevy Chase." He goes, "No shit." He goes, "Does he want to come up?" You know, I go, "Yeah, bring him up." So he goes, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Chevy Chase."
Uh-huh.
And the audience between Chappelle and him erupted.
Uh,
About 110 in there, and if you had 60 in there, it was great. We had 110, 120 people in there, and it erupted. And the energy, and I filmed that. It's an incredible. When I watch it now, I can watch it. The thrill that went up, and he goes up there, does some stupid shit with Chappelle, back and forth, they banter,
yeah.
and you just think about, even what you just said about the.
Now that you mention it, I have a feeling like I was there that night. I forget. There was so many great nights, but that now that you're saying that, that sounds familiar to me. I was there one night when Robin Williams came by, but that was when it was the Boston still, and they were doing chocolate. It wasn't called Chocolate Sundays, but it was their urban show.
Right,
And my first introduction to the Boston Comedy Club was doing their Sunday night show. I forget what the name of that show was, but it was
Will and what's his name show, right? Probably Will and the black
yeah, talent show, yeah, talent and Will, and that's where I met a lot of people, and just doing the New Jack spot on that show. And I remember Robin Williams came in. I was standing right by the door. That room used to get so packed. First of all, that room to me, when I perform, I like that size room. Telling a story to me in that size room is the perfect amount of people. Like the cellar is a little bit bigger. It's still awesome. I mean, you can hear the pounding on the laughter, you know what I'm saying? But it's even more intimate in that size room. And that size room is probably the same size room as, let's say, New York Comedy Club, but the stage is better. I don't know. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. The size of that room, the way it was set up with the two levels, it was just a really, really nice room to play.
And the crazy thing about that, bro, is that, when they knocked the place down, I found out that there were 15-foot ceilings in that place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much wider and longer. There was an extra 2 feet wide, and the back where my office and everything, behind my office, there was an extra 15 feet. So they redid that place completely. I was heartbroken when that place, when I gave that place up, because it was a lot of work, and I really we were right there. We were doing successful Wednesday through Sunday shows for the last 2 years. I started in 05, May 05. All through 05 was a little struggle. 06, we were on like a train. 07, and then 08, that's when it was like 05 to 06. And 08 is when the owners of the building, which turned out to be the Gigantes,
Really?
for the old man from around the corner, the old guy,
Yeah.
guys who are cops will know. He's the old Italian guy with the bathrobe who walked in.
The chin.
Jimmy the Chin.
Chin.
Vin.
Yeah, he used to. Some say that he was pretending like he was insane. He'd tell you that he was insane.
Right.
But either way, the guy used to put on quite a show. He'd walk around the street. He'd walk around that corner in the neighborhood in his bathrobe and slippers. It usually looked like he had an aide with him, or somebody helping him walk down the block. And he looked just like any other old man that might be, a little touched in the head. but he also was running one of the biggest organized crime syndicates in the country, you know. And
Look,
he really he put on quite a show for the FBI and for just trying to get indicted, trying to get an indictment on him because they didn't really know if they would able to prove his sanity. In the end, I think they did. But it's funny because, like you said, you were this close, and when you mean this close, you mean like, you're running the place for 2 years, and at some point, you're gonna go over and get that trajectory and get all the respect and the recognition that you should be getting for your hard work. And at some point, when you get that and you compound that now for 2 years, that respect now you're getting into like young Harvey Weinstein area. You can really start cashing in on sex with women. You know what I'm saying? Producing movies.
right,
You know what I'm saying? You could really, and I could see you there with it. We're just getting really fat, a big, huge belly. You know what I'm saying? And just
if you that's why this is exactly why you and I don't get that power, because we're good looking guys. We'd have all of it. We would lost them,
Yeah, I mean, given the chance to be a glutton, though, I felt like I was getting that way over this Corona, and it got so bad because like I found out that I have my stomach is I get acidity.
You have small penis, eh?
Yeah, small penis envy. So so I was having I switched to an alkaline diet. What?
Take 2 Tums, your penis will get bigger.
Rub 2 Tums on your balls. Yeah, so yeah, I have this I switched to an alkaline diet, and there's no really starches in there or oats or grains, and my face is everything's like gone down. I feel 100% better now. I'd say 80% better. But yeah, and now we're gonna it's a good time to get in shape coming out of this second wave, and hopefully we'll land on our feet and look good.
I don't understand why people don't, get in better shape, right? I mean, really, like, especially now when they're telling us that the best way to fight this is to be in better shape. This country, since we were kids, we've had shitty food. Both of us grew up in Queens. There was a pizza place on 5 on every corner, and ices and junk food, plus whatever nationality you had, and then you'd go visit your friend's house.
Well, look at the McDonald's, for example. If you look at the original size of a burger, it was like this big, burgers. And then all of a sudden now the average burger has to be this big. And all this happened while we were growing up. They just kept making things a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And I think, we were the first generation of that, so we were catching it while it was growing. But the next kids that came up under us, they caught it at its full grown state. That's all they knew was a burger this size. That's all they knew was a soda this size.
Right.
And that's what they grew up on that. And that's why you see so much obesity, because our parents, basically pacified us. They gave us, just to shut us up. And it became a lot easier.
When you talk about obesity, a lot of people, with the exercise, with gaming, with internet, everybody's been inside since late 90s, right? Or early 2000s, when everybody started to get the internet. People stopped going outside. You don't see as much when we went, right? We'd leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back at 12 for a quick lunch, go out.
My grandmother used to say, "What are you doing inside? Get out, go outside. What are you doing here?"
That's because she was blowing your grandfather.
Yeah, that.
On delay? What is that?
You caught me off guard with that. That was like going back to boxing, I was just you called me like, that was like a quick 1, 2. Oh shit, what happened? I was like, what happened? Wait a minute. I had a vision of my grandmother blowing my grandfather,
That's what we call a recall, fellas. Thank you. Yeah, so you should tell the people that listen to your show regularly, we know each other so well that this is the type of conversations that comics have. I tell him to put a visual of his grandfather getting blown by his grandmother. Not normal, but that's who we are as people.
And I complied. I complied. Visualed it. It disturbed me a little bit, but we're back, man. That's the kind of men we are.
And by the way, it not only disturbed you, it turned you on just a little bit. A little bit.
So I'm trying to think of what direction we want to go in. We'll swing back around to what you do in entertainment, but let's talk a little bit about your stringer activity. For my audience that doesn't know, that's the term, right? Stringer.
Yeah. The stringer, if you're a New York City guy, cops in New York City, firemen who are listening as well, a stringer is a little bit different than the guys who would go around with the radios.
What do you mean the radio? The police radio?
Yeah, I can't think of the other guy.
Jerk offs. That's the word you're looking for. Assholes. What are you talking about is people that they get their own personal and they listen to the police radio all day. Civilians. I forget.
All right, I can't think of the name, and it'll probably come to me in a few minutes. I apologize that it's stopping the show so completely, but there's another name for these guys, right? And they're kind of a little off, these guys.
Yeah, they're all off.
I don't know how they've done it, but the 20 years that I've been doing this, all right, let me start over. All right. So what I do is I am a freelance video journalist. Okay. I go to fire and police situations and I film them and then I offer them to the news for sale and profit. That's what I do. And that's as simple as it is. How I started and how I still do it now is because I've wanted to showcase the heroes of the police department and the fire department. I'm not one of these guys that are looking to hurt a guy in blue or a guy doing something wrong in the fire department. I went there after 9/11, which Mark and I will get to in a minute. I went there and started filming guys doing heroic things every single night. One of my cop friends, a dear friend who passed away, Harry Hill, was working for the JTS, the task force, and he told me, go get yourself a Radio Shack radio because we're going to get, this is right after 9/11, we're going to get hit big time. So I started listening to the radio, and all you cops and firemen out there, if a civilian turns on this radio, the first stuff that he hears out of that is crazy. Shootings, stabbings, overdoses, fires, hostage situations. This is on a daily basis that cops have to deal with stuff like this. So I started filming these guys and getting them in the paper. And I built a reputation of a guy who can get to a scene, be respectful to you guys out there, and capture history because that's what I feel I'm doing many times.
And so you got yourself this police radio, and basically the way it works is you're listening to the radio. And if you a call interests you, you're in your car, your private car, and you're in your civilian attire because you're not on anybody's payroll. This is something that you're doing basically as a citizen. And you got your radio and you're in your car and you're driving to this location of danger armed with your camera. That's it. And once you get to that location, you're going to start recording it. And once you have some really good footage, you would hope, right? What do? You contact news outlets and say, this is what I got. Do you share with them originally on the hopes that they're going to pay you for it eventually? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'll make it real quick because it's a 20-year history that I'll give you. Back in 2002, right after 9/11, the way you used to do it is I would film on tape and actually have to take the tape and go to the station and drop the tape off. Somebody would take the tape from me, go to a control room, put it in, make a copy of the tape, and then I would get out of there. Or I would have to buy a machine, which I did eventually, and make 6 or 7 copies and then drop off these tapes to these people and then decide if they're interested in the story.
Uh-huh.
Now, technology is great. I'm sitting with my computer. If I shoot something in my car, I upload it onto the computer and I send it off to the wonderful cloud, and they can grab it right away.
Mhm.
I do call them up. I have a reputation with all the news guys, and you know, people know me. Hey, it's Patrick from Spot News Video. I'm at a fire situation. I have this kind of footage. Are you interested? You know, what has happened over the last 4 years is there's been these different apps that have come out, like Citizen app. I'm sure a bunch of your people have Citizen on their phones. It's a service that basically it's guys listening to the radios and then putting out the actual stories. So you could be in an area and your phone will go bloop and they'll say fire, and you just pick out your phone, pick up your phone and start filming. So what that did for me as a freelancer is it kind of not killed my business, but it put a 50% cut on it, because people that put it up on their phones put it up for free, where I was charging,
But
50 bucks.
Twitter too.
The what?
I mean, Twitter must have killed your business too, because Twitter is like people on the scene, civilians, just recording it, putting it on Twitter, even Facebook Live. So it just, that's the news outlets. They have to follow some feeds. If they were, if you're on Facebook and you see one of these things, to get what I don't know if you're just allowed to grab that and use it for your news thing that night.
You actually are, and it's crazy. You just have to ask for permission from that person. So if I have something on Twitter, hey, Mark DeMeo at Twitter, can I use that? Yes, great. And they use the Twitter handle and everything, and they don't pay for it. And that's what happens. They listen, in the sense of, when I talk about this, financially, the last couple of years, it's been insignificant. Prior to that, I made as little as 10,000 and as much as 50,000, $60,000 for just doing part-time stringer stuff. But again, going back to it, and I know you have a lot of listeners out there who are on the job. It's really impressive to me to see these men and women do these type of acts. And it's, there's so much bad that's going on with how people are perceived, cops, firemen, politicians. Cops out there, a majority of these people that I film that are going, and I'll get to something else so you don't think I'm totally pro cop or whatever, but I am not. What I'm saying to you about this is I have filmed people that have stepped out of that car with families and everything else. And don't tell me it's their job and they got to pay a check. They have jumped out of that car when the bullets are flying, when the flames are blurring out. So it means a lot as a man to see this. When you see these people, you don't see skin color. You just see a guy in blue or a guy in, black and yellow stripes going to a fire, saving people. And that's what it is.
I think that most people that are getting out there with their cameras and capturing these events that are police involved, there was a lot of editing going on now, but now that everybody's doing it, it's kind of hard to edit it, and then because it's all going to be compared to that, plus if the officer's wearing a body cam. But all that being said, I think it's very important too to still have somebody out there who's kind of neutral, who's responding to these events and recording them, and maybe every angle is a helpful angle in these situations to determine what really happened. There's no bad angles of a shot. You know what I'm saying? You put them all together now, all the pieces, the camera from and it still boggles my mind sometimes where with all these cameras, you get these 5 kids walking down the block and they just rob somebody and beat the shit out of them. And that you're getting this blurry footage. You're like, where the fuck is this place where we're getting like, we're still getting blurry, useless footage. I mean, that's what I used to get when I was a detective, going around and, part of your investigation is collecting videotape. And you'd go and, I'm going through the motions, I'm collecting it, then I take the footage over and I bring it over to our unit in Queens here, Taru, and they'll enhance what the video was, which means, add some, make it a little bit more, and then we make stills out of it. And in the end, I'm stuck with 3 pieces of garbage. Now you have beautiful pics, it's amazing the footage that you can get right now from these cameras.
And I'll tell you, one thing that I recognize with this about myself, and more importantly, about a man that I met named Todd Mazel. Now, a lot of your fans out there on the job are going to know this guy, Todd Mazel. Little guy, about 5'3, 5'4, New York City photographer, daily news photographer for 28 years. You know this guy. Hat on backwards, 3 or 4 cameras, very specific. I met this guy after seeing his photos that he put up of 9/11.
Mhm.
This guy, Todd, was there before, during, and after both buildings collapsed. And again, I know a lot of you guys are out there, and I hope this doesn't trigger anybody who's not in the mood to listen to this quick story. Should I go into this now about Todd real
Yeah,
quick?
man.
Yeah,
Whatever you want, brother.
yeah. What I like to do is, when people start hearing,
Cool, man.
do get triggered. We were going to talk about that. Like I noticed sometimes that, and I'll explain why. I was down there as well, but I didn't see the building fall. I came right after the building fell. But when I see the building fall, it triggers something. I definitely have an emotion. But
You just told me to envision my grandmother blowing my grandfather. So I'm still stuck with that vision in my head. So I think I'll be able to take this. Go ahead, you and your 911, 9/11 stories.
that's great. I love it. See, that's the way we do it. And that's the way life is, right? You bring it up and down, especially, when things are bad, we have to keep humor in it. And Mark and I are both stand-up comics. What we do is 5, 7 times a week. We go out, we make people laugh and get that energy for them and give the energy. We haven't had that. So 9/11, this guy, Todd Mazel, who some of you might know, he actually films, he's a still photographer. He shoots the twin towers as they're coming down. He takes one frame, tick-a-tick, and dives into a building and barely makes it out. Now, when I show you this photo, you'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw that photo." And to me, it was like meeting somebody that created and captured history.
Yeah.
Immediately, all the times I was always a photographer, not the way I'm explaining now, but I've been taking pictures since I'm a kid. As a single, no only child, I did everything to keep. I had one of those 110 cameras that you advance this way, take hundreds of pictures. But I recognize this guy as, holy shit, he's capturing history. He's the guy who did the Iwo Jima flag. He's the guy that captured little baby Kennedy putting his hand up. He's the guy who caught Lee Harvey Oswald getting shot, and every other famous shot you could. I just saw this the other day, a report, the girl in Vietnam who got hit by the napalm. All of these images that, the Civil War, the two generals shaking hands. You get my point.
It's been around a long time, huh?
all of these guys are like amazing to me, and that's what I started doing. And then when you finally get your picture, like I had been running around since, like, let's say a week after September 11th. My first job as a professional, and this is what I say, from going from a guy like, what the fuck is that name? The guy who just runs around and doing the thing, and then a guy like me who's actually getting people to respect what he has. My first job was the plane crash 587 in the Rockaways. I got to film that and take pictures of that horrible crash. And those were my first pictures that were in the paper, local newspaper, local rag in Bay Ridge. It said on the paper, "We're hit again," because they didn't know what the story was. "We're hit again." And there was a picture of that I had captured of the fuselage all over the Rockaways, people dead. It was crazy photo. But and that's how I look at myself. And I'm not paparazzi. These guys, I know some of the guys out who are listening to you hate these guys, because they get in the way. And why are you here? Why are you filming me when I'm doing an arrest? Why are you filming the fire? It's bad luck, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing it, just so you know, is to show people's better side, if you would.
There is a cantankerous relationship between media and the police, but those relationships, the obstacles that the reporters get and even the stringers get, is usually from the younger police officers that are basically scared to interact with reporters because they don't really know the rules. Nobody, I guess they tell you, but you really, I don't know. I never knew. I remember one time I was it was a triple homicide. I was a detective. It was in the 2-8. I was going underneath the rope, and then some guy's like, "Hey, detective, you mind if I come with you?" I was like, "What?" He goes, can I come in there and just snap a few?" I'm like, "No, you can't. Get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "Yo, you don't have to talk to me like that. I mean, who the hell are you? You know, you fucking." And he starts like ripping me, and like before and they're all looking at me right now, so I just looked and I smiled at him, and I went inside. And then when I left out the back door. I didn't really want to have another exchange with this guy, only because they're looking to, if they can't get the story inside, maybe they'll grab something else outside, or now they grab both. They got the freaking story inside, plus they got you. They could,
Yeah.
breaking your balls, and they caught you in anger and being abusive or saying something back.
There are guys out there that are like that, right? Now I'm going to tell your audience this. I've had 3 huge incidents with police officers, one that got me arrested while I had a full police New York City issued press pass.
Mhm.
A lieutenant during a protest decided that I was a problem and arrested me when I was doing nothing. I was filming. This is what the crazy thing is. I was there at a Black Lives Matter. This was in 2015. I was at a Black Lives Matter protest. Can believe it's going on that long. Filming a couple of officers that might appear to some looking at the video to be a little aggressive in arresting an individual.
Mhm.
And I was filming this from a very safe distance so I don't get hurt. And the guy arrested me. He didn't like what I was filming. The guy that said that to you
Mhm.
is a dick.
Mhm.
The guy who complains when he tried to, asking you is not the problem. Hey, man, will you mind if I get a closer shot? Yeah, all right, go ahead. Because it's happened. People say, yeah, get 5 feet closer, get your shot, and get out.
Uh-huh.
Here's what I want, not to disagree with you, but here's what happens. The older guys give the younger guys the way, right? So the older guys, why am I not charging? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Something's happening. I'm not charging, and I'm almost out of battery now for some crazy reason. Let me see if this works. Hold on. Sorry about that. Hey, how much time? How much more is it? What do we?
I think I usually go about an hour.
Okay, are we close to that?
No, we are 48.
Okay.
Well, how much more time you got?
It looks like 15%, but I have a charger and everything's going. I just don't know why it's not moving. Maybe there was a little, something. Maybe it's too hot. All right, let's just we'll go as long as we can. Then I might have to switch over the phone for 5. You might have to pause it for a minute. Sorry, folks. So where am I? What am I talking about?
We were talking about dealing with reporters and stringers at crime scenes or accidents and stuff.
I got you. Here's what I was going to say. The older guys don't want to be bothered with photographers or journalists. They hate us. That's what I learned. I met these guys, all the old timers, right? I'm starting in 2002. So 2002 to almost 2012, 10 years, my first 10 years, I met guys that were in their 5th, 10th, 15th year of service, right? So those guys were trained, don't talk to photographers unless you know them, blah, blah, blah.
You know,
Nowadays,
go
what?
ahead. No, go ahead.
So nowadays there are rules and regulations in the book, in the policeman's guide. I don't know which ones they are exactly, but they have to give us cooperation, and that sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. There are still people.
A guest on our podcast, Bill and I's Police Off the Cuff, and he was a famous reporter for the Daily News, the Post. He was actually, I think, the editor, the main editor in the crime division, rolling out of 1PP. I can't think of his name right now, and it's bothering me. I hate stuff like that I can't remember it. But he gave us a lot of insight into the world. And the truth is, once you become like a seasoned detective, you'll know how to, come up with a working relationship with reporters. They need some truth to the article. You need certain information to get out to the public so you can catch your perpetrator. So, it's something that's organically you'll find yourself, if you're lucky enough, if you're personable, like guys like me and you, we probably had a nice relationship with a reporter or two that, we gave them information. They shared information for us. It was on the QT. Do you know what I'm saying? And one hand washes the other.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, for instance, I'll just give you an example. I just gave you that horrible example, right? I'll give you a great interaction. 2004, I'm filming the Republican National Convention. Quiet night, nothing's happening. I follow a group of about 200 guys, and we're going up, and somebody says, "Let's go to Madison Square Garden," which where the thing was being held, the convention. We get up there. They blocked off 8th Avenue and 31st Street. 34th Street is where the garden is. You couldn't get up the block.
Mhm.
So people started getting angry and yelling, and a little different than the yelling now with the destruction. This was just yelling and screaming. But all of a sudden, I witness a melee, and some guy is punching some dude on a moped, and he knocks the guy out, and the guy falls on the floor, and the guy steps on him, and he starts hitting him, and cops come over, and I'm filming this. About 15, 20 minutes later, I see this cop that I know, sergeant down at DCPI, and he said, "Hey, Pat, you hear about the undercover cop that got knocked out?" I'm like, "You mean the guy on the moped?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Oh, I got the whole thing." He goes, "Really?" So now they take my tape, and I'm sitting in a control, a mobile unit down in the middle of the craziness. Chief of detectives comes in, the mayor's guy comes in, the guy, the police commissioner's second guy. I'm not going to mention any of the names. And we're all sitting there. I'm soaking wet, showing them this tape. I had the tape of the perp who nailed this guy, who knocked this guy out. They took my tape. By 11 o'clock, it was on every station. Everybody. Next morning, this guy busted, arrested, charged, the whole thing.
That's wonderful.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
No, but listen, it's just amazing that you were, and I've been in those situations where you're in that control booth. I worked under the chief of D's, and you get that guy in there with the tape, and what's going on with this investigation. Sometimes it's a day or two. I remember reading stories in the paper. I'm like, this story has nothing to do with the reality of the situation. But if the police aren't giving you any information, the only thing that you have to go by as a reporter is so-called witnesses. And some of them are just making stuff up, just, just for the sake of it. They're crazy people. They want to talk to somebody, and it's interesting to read articles. And like I said, if you're not getting any information, you gotta write something. So let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about your career a little bit because we're running out of time. Not only are you a very funny a comedian, but you're also an actor, and you've made you were on the show Blacklist. You had a nice little part there.
It wasn't black. Let me just say something real quick. If for some reason I go out,
Uh-huh.
just pause your thing. Don't
Okay.
turn it off. Pause it because I'll jump on the phone and we'll finish it. Okay.
It wasn't Blacklist, was it?
I was on a couple of things. I was on She's Gotta Have It on Netflix. And then the thing that you're probably thinking of is the thing way back was House of Cards.
House of Cards, yeah.
Yeah.
That's that. What was it? Interrogation scene, right?
Well, actually, it looked like that. It was shot great. It was an AA meeting. I'm in episode 7 of the first season.
Uh-huh.
And that was an incredible experience, working.
I remember you telling me about how the director was yelling at you.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Not that I was over my head, but I came prepared. I got the audition. The woman said, "Wow, the director loved you. He's really talking high things about you." I get on set and it did not go my way at all. That morning, they gave me some new lines that I just couldn't get in my head. They didn't like the way I was doing it. I was doing an AA meeting. I've been to AA meetings, not for myself, but with buddies. I know the room. They wanted me to play something different. I couldn't grab what they wanted. I tried everything I could as an actor, did it exactly the way they wanted to, and it just didn't work out well. And the guy whispered in my ear right before the next set, the next take. He whispers in my ear, "You're costing us money right now." Action. That's what he did to me, man. And not that one, but the next one I got. That one I got close enough where he came to me. And then the next one, he's like, "That's the way you do it, young man. That's the way you do it." Everybody clapped because I was like, holy shit, I finally got it. But we're talking like 10 takes, maybe 12 takes. And Mark, you didn't get 12 takes, right? When you did your thing?
No, but I never had somebody that was messing with me like that either. Not on in theater, yes, but not on actual shooting.
Well, I'm just using a comparison because you just did your great role on the FBI thing.
I got lucky that I got, sometimes you just get lucky, and the director is not one of those type of people. I don't know how I'd react to that. I'd be nervous, that's for sure.
It definitely made me nervous. It definitely threw me off a little bit. But more importantly, what I mean by it is that, what was I going to say about that? About the, so you usually, as a day player, right? Because my monologue was maybe a minute and 30, and they cut it down to about 45 seconds. But when you're doing a minute 30, when there's a whole bunch of the shooting, you're kind of like the in and out. So that was a crazy time. But yeah, so I've been doing that. I appreciate you mentioning the movie. Let me go into that before we run out. If you don't,
before you go into the movie, I just want to say one thing. I remember I wanted to do I had the part on Law and Order SVU, and I said, when I'm telling everybody, nah, it's a small part. They're like, no, there's no such thing as a small part. I said, listen to me. When you're doing your one line on an episode and they're running it through the credits, it's a pretty small part. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying a line and the words are actually over your face. It's a small part.
Yeah, no, that's the role everybody wants, though.
20 years I auditioned for that role. I used to, I didn't, there's a saying that you're not really an actor in New York City unless you've been on Law and Order, right? So I had, done, obviously, same like you, parts here and there for 20 years on TV and in film. And, but I still never booked Law and Order. And like you say, I used to go out maybe twice a year for a Law and Order audition, never get it. And then I finally got it. So I was like, it was a small part that they cut even smaller, but I still felt like $1 million. I finally did it. You know what? Now you're an actor in New York City.
People every time they ask me when I'm an actor, "Oh, you've been on Law and Order?"
Yeah.
I unfortunately have to say no. The closest I got was 2 years ago. No, because the essay was 2020, 2019, 2018, late 2018. I have been up there 7 times, 7 times in the last couple of years. I've been pretty hot with them. 2 different people brought me in to see Jonathan. Now, last time in 2018, I go in playing a correction officer. I go into the producers meeting. So it's the producer, the director, Jonathan, Phil Hoffman. Is Phil still doing it? I don't even know. I'm so out. And these guys are sitting in the room, and that was my last shot. That was 2 years ago, 2.5+ years ago.
Oh, man.
That's a credit I definitely want.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like elusive. It's not the best acting credit in the world by far, but it's like one of those things where you want to get it. You know what I'm saying? You just want to freaking get it under your belt so the questions can stop. And the thing runs all the time, too. Like,
say this weekend they just ran before they were stars. I love it. It was so many cool people. I can't even think of it right now, but imagine 5 stars that are stars now. Their first role was the role that you got.
Yeah.
Introduction. Hey, what happened? Oh yeah, well, we got a male 35 shot in the head, no ID on him.
Even the bodies down there. We had this actor. His name is Michael Devine. He's been on a ton of stuff.
I saw that episode on Off the Cuff.
Yeah, last night we did it.
No,
you thought Joe Lisi. We had another guy. Joe Lisi's probably the most like the biggest actor that ever came out. But the second one underneath there would be probably Michael Devine.
Oh,
And
my
he's younger, so he'll probably, yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff right now, and he just retired. But we were talking about that, like, like I was auditioning to play a cop on Law and Order for 20 years, and it was always just like, yeah, the body's over there, like that's it. Like, how could you not give me that part? Like,
That's great.
didn't we just go through this?
You
And
ever
I'm
get
like that's the what killed me the most. Like, you just felt like an idiot every time. You're talking about you're an actor, and then like you're also a cop. But like, oh, did you do Law and Order? And like, nah, nah. But now I can say, yeah, I did it. I was George the evidence clerk.
nice? Yeah, that was a great.
Talk about the movie. The movie is called Rockaway Sunset, and it's going to be given its turn to showcase itself on the BFC Short Film Festival, which I'm assuming is going to be virtual this year because of the COVID. Still, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I think, maybe this might be the wave of the future for a lot of, these film festivals. Just so you could watch it at home and vote at home.
It absolutely is, and it's a great way to do it because I'll tell you, this is my first film, and I started doing this in 2017. I completed it, and then we filmed it in late 2019, and the film, the short film independent film festivals are really fantastic. There's a lot of crap out there. I don't want people to think they're going to see all A films, including mine, but there's some interesting stuff out there. And they're 3 minutes, they're 5 minutes, they're 20 minutes, they're an hour long.
How long is yours?
My film is 15 minutes long, 15, and it's a dramatic piece. It's a story about a older woman who finds out that she has an illness that is going to kill her, and she decides to reach a family milestone when she has a chance meeting with somebody who accidentally almost kills her. So it's a story, somewhat of an autobiographical story about a woman with cancer, which I had that in my life. My mother passed of cancer, and I wrote this story based on her a little bit. But it's a relationship. It shows about love and humor and survival and strength of people.
Any nudity?
My mom shows her breasts like this.
Okay, just got to get that out of the way.
Got to get out of the way. It's a great scene. Oh my God.
Where are you sitting anyway?
Do you really want to know where I'm sitting?
No.
I'm visiting an old friend, and I'm going to move myself from this particular area. I'm sorry about that.
Well, you're in your car right now. That's where you are. You're moving the studio. The studio's on wheels.
I am visiting an old friend no longer with us. I'm in that area.
It's some movie studio you got. Just driving around. You're like one of those guys in the Old West that used to bring the whole show with him. Come into town, click. You'd open up the thing. You'd have a whole theater, puppets, everything in there.
And then sell the snake oil as well. Let me. All right, here that should be good. So let me say this. So the movie is when we talk about these film festivals, they really give opportunity for young filmmakers, and when I say young, just newer filmmakers to get their product out there. I'm part of this Barry Moore Film Festival, which is an organization in Jersey. We'll put up the site, I guess, later at the end or in the credits or whatever. But it's an interesting movie, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope I'm going to send it out to your people. And also, if you could, I'd like some of your people to check out the spotnewsvideo.com site as well. A buffer.
Uh-huh.
There are buffers out there, radio buffers. These guys who are
Buffs.
I don't know I'm not insulting any of them if you're one of them, but these guys get to the situations before PD and before fire department. These radio buffers, they don't take pictures. They go there with radios and a NYPD shirt and a hat, and say, "Hey, we're here." That's all they do. Buffer. And
Well,
now,
yeah, you know, there's an interesting thing. I got into a car accident here in the Bronx, and if it wasn't for quick thinking, I probably would have been in a melee. You know, like I was. It was this kid. He was in his own neighborhood, and before you know it, he must have put the word out that he was in an accident, and cars just started flying and showing up. And I remember one guy there. He's on his 10-speed bicycle. He's got they wear like a police turtleneck if they can get their hands on it. There's usually like, you know, a sergeant pin over here. They're just like crazy. He's got like a military hat on, and they got the radio, and they just show up to scenes and check stuff out. And they're pretty much driving. They're on the bikes all night, you know, riding around the neighborhood. Sometimes they'll go as far as the bike will take them, and they just show up at the scene. And I don't know what they're doing. They're like, they're not documenting too much. Maybe now they're using their phones a little bit, but they just show up.
yeah, there's definitely a world out there. But you know, to all your cop fans and fire department that are still on, there's a bunch of people that should be respected as journalists that are out there really trying to show that you guys, you men and women, are something special and not who other people think you are. And then there's a bunch of dicks who Mark met that you should throw off. And I'm telling you, you know, tell them, you know, get their names. Tell them, tell DCPI, hey, this guy was an asshole to me, because you have a right to. If I show disrespect to you because I want to get a shot, that's not the right way to do it. I'll get my shot another way.
Oh, you know what? While I still have you on here, you're going to be impressed by this, but Police Off the Cuff has a sponsor. It's our first sponsor. So I'm gonna read a little copy here, a commercial. We want to give the best opportunity. So listen up, guys and gals. We are sponsored by the best hot sauce in the world. Silk City Hot Sauce is made from small batches with pure ingredients. Locally grown peppers are the foundation of every bottle of Silk City Hot Sauce. There's several flavors from mild to wild, and you got to see the labels. They have some fantastic artwork on them, and I'll show it to you. You see if you can get in there. That's Killer Hot. This is Jonestown, and I've had 3 out of the 5 of them so far, and they are delicious. Go to silkcityhotsauce.com. That is silkcityhotsauce.com. Enter the coupon code OTC, which is for off the cuff, and you'll get a 15% discount if you're curious about advertising with us. And we'd love to have you. It's OTC Pod, POD1, the number 1, OTC Pod, the number 1 at gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what you want me to hack. And we'll pretty much do anything, you know, what am I talking about? PJ will tell you, you know, he used to do the anal beads for his commercials on his podcast and actually demonstrate them. So I always found that curious, but so I'm just kidding.
Actually like to do is maybe take the hot sauce and the anal beads.
There you go.
Let's leave it on.
I think we covered a lot. I'd love to have you back. I wish you the best of luck in the film festival. Once again, that's Rockaway Sunset, and I'll add that as you know, everything that I do is very basic. You know, I wish I could be more elaborate. I'm learning as I go along. So though I'm gonna get one of your pictures and put it up, and
Cool. I appreciate it.
I'll add this is going to go into my Patreon page for a couple of days for my subscribers, and then I'm going to release it probably in a little bit less than a week onto YouTube. I just want to create some original content and have my our Patreon customers, you know, have access to that first. And this was a really this is probably the funniest you know, interviews that I've done. This was it was just like chatting and catching up with an old friend, and hopefully we'll get a chance to hang together in person soon.
Yeah, man. I'd love to, you know what? I'd love to get our boys together.
Yeah. My son's 24 now, and he's going to NYU. He's in that nursing program over there.
I love it.
And yeah, it's some scam he's pulling off, this kid. You gotta see, man. He's just surrounded by beautiful women.
forget about the doctors because doctors, blah, 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 a good looking nurse like him,
Oh,
forget about it.
forget it.
And he's
Forget it.
straight, which is great.
What'd you
Unlike,
say? Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was straight in the beginning too. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So once again, Silk City Hot Sauce, check that out.com. Big round of applause to PJ Landers for taking the time out and sitting with me today. And he disappeared. All right. That's it, I guess. PJ checked out. And thanks again, man. This was fun. And I look forward to seeing everybody again soon.